أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you, my dear sisters and brothers? I hope that all of you are doing fine. And Alhamdulillah, today we have come to another session of the Iqra tuition pack. And today we are going to continue with our lesson on letter recognition. So, are you ready? Let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So before we begin, let us read the dua before studying. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا اللهم إنا نسألك فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين المقربين. O Allah, make useful for us what you have taught us and teach us knowledge that will be useful to us. O Allah, we ask you for the understanding of the prophets and the memory of the messengers and those nearest to you. Ameen. So as I have mentioned, today we are going to look into the Arabic letters recognition, part 3. Are you ready? Let's go. And the objective for today's lesson will be to be more aware of the 29 Arabic letters and to recognize and memorize the next 5 Arabic letters and its articulation, inshallah. So as I have mentioned before this, there are altogether 29 Arabic letters. But if you see here, there are altogether 30. This is because there is this lam alif, okay? And it is not a new letter because it is a combination of lam and alif. And so it is just something additional here, okay? But the rest are all letters on its own. So before we continue to the next part of the slides, let's read off the whole 29 letters. If you have remembered them, Alhamdulillah, that's good. But if you have not, it's okay. We are going to go through line by line later on. Right? So let's read it together. Here we have Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kho, Dal, Zal, Ra, Zay, Sin, Shin, Sod, Dot, Ta, Dha, Ain, Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Nun, Waw, Ha. What is this again? Yes, it's a combination of Lam and Alif, and so it is called Lam Alif. Hamza, Ya. Okay, so let's do one more time. Follow me, yeah? Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim. Well done. Carry on. Ha, Kho, Dal, Zal, Ra, Zay, Sin, Shin, Sod, Dot, Ta, Dha, Ain, Ghain, Fa, Qaf, Kaf, Lam, Mim, Nun, Waw, Ha, Lam Alif, Hamza, and Ya. Now, are you able to read this backwards? Let's try. Ya, Hamza, Lam Alif, Ha, Waw, Nun, Mim, Lam, Kaf, Qaf, Fa, Ghain, Ain, Dha, Ta, Dot, Sod, Shin, Sin, Zay, ro, dhal, dal, kho, ha, jim, tha, ta, ba, and alif. Yeah, I know that when we read forward, it's quite simple. But when we read backwards, that's where the challenge comes in. And so one of the technique to know, to polish up on your letter recognition is to read it forward and backwards. Okay, so that you will be able to recognize the letters better, inshallah. So let's move on. Alhamdulillah, in the previous two lessons, we have learned the first line and the second line. And today we are going to look into the third line. So before we move on to the third line, let's revise the first two lines first. So here what do we have? We have alif. And here is ba. And this is ta. This is tha. And this is jim. What about this one? Ha. Yes, good. And this is kho. Yes. Dal, dhal, ro. And today we are going to look at these next five letters. Okay. So if you notice this letter here, it looks similar to ro. It's just that it has a dot at the top there. Okay. And so we call this zay. What is this called? Zay. Okay. And this is the letter sin. Letter sin. And this one here, the next one here, looks similar to sin. It's just that it's got extra dots, 3 dots, and so there is an extra letter to it, and we call it shin. Okay, so here this is sin. Okay, and here because of the extra dots, we've got an extra sound there, and we call it shin. Okay, next here we have is sod. Okay, sod. When we want to pronounce the sod, the word letter sod, and we have to make our mouth look something like this, like a fish mouth. Okay, sod. All right. And next here we have the letter dot. Okay, the letter dot. And the way to pronounce the letter dot is the side of your tongue, the left side, should be touching the left side of the teeth or the gums. Okay. Right, so now let us take a look at the articulation point for these letters that we have here. Okay, so we have the letter zai, sin, shin, sod, and dot. Okay, so the letter zai, it is articulated in this area. Okay, the tip of the tongue touches the edge of the front two incisors, the front two teeth. Okay, so that you make sure that the tip of the tongue touches this area, this front two incisors, and we make the sound zai, zai. Okay, so I need you to now really focus and pay more attention to the position of your tongue inside your mouth. All right, so that we can learn these articulation points here. All right, it is important because this is so that when we pronounce the letters, we will pronounce it correctly. Right. Okay, next we have here the letter sin, also from the same place, the front here. The tip of the tongue touches the edge of the front two incisors. But this time round, we don't make the z sound, we make the s sound. Okay, we don't make the z sound, we make the s sound. Sin, sin, sin. Okay, the letter shin here, right, its articulation point is in the middle part of the tongue here. Okay, the middle part of the tongue here touches the roof of the mouth, right? And you make the sound sh, shin, shin, shin. Okay, try and make it. Can you do it? Middle part of your tongue, right? The middle part of your tongue touches the roof of your mouth. Shin, shin. Good. Right. Next, we have the letter sod. Okay. The letter sod is in the same area as zai and sin. Right. That means the tip of your tongue touches the front two lower incisors. But it has got something extra, that is the back of the tongue here, right, touches the roof. So your tongue is like curled in a curled position. It is in a curled position like this, okay? Curl like this, right? And then you pronounce the letter sod, sod, right? The back of the tongue touches the roof, and the front part, the tip of the tongue touches the front two lower incisors, right? Next, we have the letter dot, okay? The letter dot is pronounced, right, in this way. That is the side, one or both sides of your tongue at the sides here, okay? Touching the molars and the gum area next to the molars, this part here, okay? So when we do that, we'll make the sound dot, 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 okay? So I hope you take time to practice this. You can rewind this video and watch again and see where the articulation points are and practice. Okay, good. Let's go on to the next slide. So before we end our lesson today, let us revise the letters that we have learned. So we have learned 3 lines, Alhamdulillah. Right, so here we have alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kho, dal, zal, ro, zay, sin, shin, sod, dod. One more time. Here, zay, zay, sin, shin, sod, dod. Now let's read this without the helping words. So here we have zay, sin, shin, sod, and dot. Okay, one more time. Alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kho, dal, zal, ro, zay, sin, shin, sod, dot. Well done. You're a fast learner. For those of you who needs more time to learn, no worries, right? You can watch these videos over and over again and get the articulation point right. Once you got it right, then you will pronounce the letters properly. Okay? Right? Let's move on. Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of our lesson for today, and I hope that you have benefited much from what we have learned. And do practice, okay? Practice and practice and practice, because practice makes perfect, all right? And once you've got the articulation points, then you are on your way to reading the Iqra book soon, okay? So what do you call it? You have to learn a few more letters to go, and after that, you'll be ready to read the Iqra. All right. So do attempt the quiz that I will be putting up in the nurulquranonline.com website, and find out whether you have learned well today, whether you have understood the lesson today. But if you don't understand and you do have some doubts, you can always drop me an email here, nurulqurantuition@gmail.com. Right? So let's end our lesson. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Ameen. Inshallah, I'll see you again. Right, till next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.